Remember when I said this? My trip home was a mess, but I might just leave that story for another video because Corona ruined everything, but we're not gonna get into it. It's fine, it's okay. Well, I think it's time for that story. Hi guys, if you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a video about how I literally had to flee China due to Corona. So basically I did 2 previous videos about my time in China, and I got a few messages asking me to do a video on when I left, how I left, that sort of thing. I then put a poll up on Instagram to see if that was something that people would be interested in watching, and pretty much everyone said yes, so I'm gonna get straight into it. Just a disclaimer, honestly, like thinking back now, it was such a crazy hectic time, like everything literally happened like that, so I can't remember every single thing, but I'm gonna try and tell you the story to the best of my ability. But yeah, it was mad, it was actually crazy, it was crazy. Sometimes I wake up and I'm still like, I can't believe like I just had to leave half my life behind and just come home, and I'm home and I'm just here now, like I'm still here. So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get back into it. So basically December flew by, and then I knew that at some point in January I would be having my winter holidays. I just wasn't entirely sure when, and I kept on asking my employer like, when is my holidays, like no one's told me, and I'm trying to like book trips, I'm trying to like go to different countries, go visit my friends and stuff, so I really would appreciate if someone told me when my holidays were, and they were like, yeah, we'd get back to you. Long story short, I woke up one day and I was literally on my way to work, like on my way to class. Luckily my school is literally a 3-minute walk from my apartment, because I was literally walking, and then I got a message on my phone and it was like, oh, by the way, your holiday starts today, like enjoy. And I was kind of like, couldn't have told me earlier, couldn't have told me like yesterday at the very least, but no, it was okay. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go home, tidy my room, book a trip, and like make plans to see my friends, that sort of thing. And I remember discussing with my parents, they did ask me like whether I wanted to come home for the holidays and like just see my family, see my friends, that sort of thing. And part of me really wanted to, because I missed my family so much, but at the same time I was kind of like, I'm slowly getting over the homesickness, so I don't want to go home and just redo it all over again, sort of thing. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna go on my own trip and then see my parents, like see my family when they come visit. So I went home, booked my trip to Seoul. So I was going to be spending the first few days by myself, and then the last few days of my trip I was going to see my friend. So I mentioned before, I made a native Chinese friend in the main city that I was in when I was like training and stuff, and the city that I moved to was actually her hometown. And she messaged me and said, look, I'm moving back to my hometown, I'm gonna find a job there so we can hang out, and like, yeah, I'm moving back home, so we're gonna be living in the same city. And for me that was like the best news ever, because I did have friends, like I was friends with the girls in the office, and obviously I had my flatmate, and like if I wanted to go out for dinner I would go with them, or like if I wanted to go karaoke and stuff. But they also worked much more than me, so majority of the time I was alone. So it was just nice to know that I would have someone else that I could hang out with, and like we could go to each other's houses and like go out together, go shopping together, because she was closer to my age anyways. So yeah, so things were looking up, like things were getting better. One of my other friends was actually trying to get moved to my city as well, so I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna have friends in my city, like the homesickness is like kind of reducing. I love my students, the weather's soon gonna get better, I'm gonna go on a trip, I'm going to Korea, like somewhere that I've wanted to go to for the past like 4 or 5 years, and I'm actually going, like things are looking up for me. So yeah, I went on my trip to Korea, it was amazing, and then I got back and I was in the biggest city, so I was in Chengdu, and then I had plans to go and visit one of my friends, and then she was gonna come and stay with me. So we met in Chengdu, and we did like, we went shopping, we went out to eat, like it was really fun. And then I went and stayed at hers, and whilst I was at hers, my mum sent me a message, and she was like, apparently there's a virus going around in China. Apparently 2 people have died, so make sure you're staying safe, wear a mask when you go out. So I was just like, oh, okay. And obviously I hadn't heard anything, and my friends hadn't heard anything, because none of us speak Mandarin, none of us could read the news, that sort of thing. And you know when people say like Twitter is their news, like they wake up in the morning and go on Twitter and scroll like it's the news. Twitter was literally my news. Like that was how I found out about what was going on in the world. I went home, well, I went back to the main city first, because to get back to mine I have to go through a city, like I can't go directly from hers to mine. It's really confusing. But before I went home, I met up with a friend that I made whilst on my trip to Seoul. So I hung out with her for a bit, and we were just talking, because she also heard about the virus, and because like her family are Chinese and she can speak Mandarin, she was kind of just updating me on it. And she was like, yeah, like the hospitals are getting packed, like it's pretty, they're not too sure how serious it is, but like it's pretty infectious, loads of people have got it. So I was a bit weary, and I was a bit like, oh, should I go home? But I was kind of like, if I stay inside I should be alright. And then my employer also messaged me and was like, oh, it's best if you don't go out, just make sure you stay home. So I got a coach back to mine, obviously wearing a mask. But it was weird, because I remember, so in China everyone does wear masks, like people do wear masks, but there's just as many people that aren't wearing a mask as there is that are. So like on one day it was normal, like it was just, I saw some people wearing masks, majority of people weren't. But then I remember the day before I was going back home, literally every single person, including myself, but every single person was wearing a mask, and it kind of freaked me out a bit. I was just kind of like, okay, well, maybe this is serious. So I went home. The next day I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a massive grocery shop and just get everything that I need and just stay at home. So I went, bought tons of food, tons of snacks, everything that I would need, and then I just planned on staying home until I knew what was going on, or until I had to go back to work, because I thought that things would kind of settle down in like a week or so. I thought maybe I'd start work a week or 2 late, but I thought things would settle down. Yeah, I thought things would settle down and things would go back to normal, but clearly that wasn't the case. And so in China, to use like social media, to use YouTube, to use Google, you need a VPN. And around that time my VPN started acting up, like sometimes it would take ages to connect, other days it just wouldn't connect at all, so I couldn't contact my parents, couldn't contact my friends. But then I've kind of realised that slowly my friends from home, like I would get a few messages checking up on me, like, we heard there's a virus, are you okay, like we've heard about this virus, apparently people have died, like are you alright, are you safe? So I was like, okay, this is getting serious. And I did say to my mum I was considering coming home, and she was like, you can just stay inside and you'll be fine, like God will protect you, you'll be fine. And I wasn't worried as well at the time, like I was just like, you know what, God's got me, like I'm gonna be fine, like it's okay, all of this will kind of blow over. But then a few days passed, and because of this whole VPN thing, it was really frustrating. Like there would be days where I couldn't speak to anyone at all, and I couldn't really do anything because I couldn't watch videos, like literally nothing for me to do. I would literally just play games on my phone, and I was just like, no, like I kind of want to go home. And then people that I was speaking to, like one of my friends who was also teaching in China, but she went home for the holiday, she was like, oh, like you should probably think about coming home. And then my Australian Chinese friend, my friend, she was like to me, if you can go home, I think you should. And then there was one day in particular that my parents called me. It was about 12 p.m. In China, so it was about 4 a.m. at home, and my mum was just like to me, is it possible for you to come home, because if it is, then we would prefer that you come home. So I was kind of like, okay, this is getting serious. And then I was reading like articles on Twitter, and my friend was telling me more information, like, oh yeah, apparently like people were saying that the government aren't are like kind of downplaying how serious this is, that sort of thing. And then there was like rumours circulating on Twitter and like on WeChat and things like that, like people sending like just different rumours about things going on. So I was just like, you know what, no, I'm getting out. So for me it wasn't as simple as just booking a flight and then getting like a car to the airport and going home. I would have to go to another city and then get a flight from there. But obviously I was speaking to my friend who was more clued up about it. She was just telling me things like, yeah, hospitals are full, her flight got cancelled, like she was supposed to go home to Australia in the next few days and her flight got cancelled. And like I just heard things like different rumours circulating on WeChat, and like, my other friends were sending me things, like sending me videos of like healthcare workers like crying and people saying this, saying that, the other. And like obviously with these things, some of them are obviously true but other things aren't. So at the time it was just kind of freaking me out because obviously I'd never been in this sort of situation before. I didn't know whether it was safer for me to just sit tight or just kind of risk going out and trying to get a flight, knowing that I'd have to travel to a different city and that my flight might be cancelled and I might have to then find my way back home, but maybe I won't be able to come home because at that time different cities start going on lockdown. So I was like, if the city goes on lockdown and my flight's cancelled, there's no way of me going back, and like my friends who live in that city aren't at home, so where do I go? And my friends like going back to Australia, like so what do? Do I take that risk or do I just stay put and just hope for the best and wait for everything to blow over? Obviously my parents saying how they would rather that I was home, I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna give this a shot. Like I'm gonna try and plan my journey home, and if it doesn't work then I know I should just probably stay. But like if I manage to book a flight and book a car and pack, then why not just try it and go home? Obviously it was a risk, but at the time it was a risk I was willing to take. So I spoke to my friend and she spoke to the airline and they basically said to her, like flights are honestly a 50-50. Some flights are being cancelled but they aren't cancelled until the last minute, so you won't know, you're just gonna have to just see. And obviously I needed to go into a different city to get to the airport, so I needed to book a car. And usually when I book it, I just kind of tell them, oh, I would like to book a car for this day on this, like at this time, and that's done. But I think because I was asking them like, are your cars still running, because obviously shops were like, some shops weren't open and like businesses were kind of shutting down and stuff. I didn't know whether there were still cars and coaches going to the bigger cities, so I wanted to make sure before I booked my flight, because there's no point in booking a flight if I can't even get out the city. So I just kind of sent them a message and was like, are you still travelling? But I feel like the words were just getting lost in translation, because on WeChat you can like directly translate the message, but when they were responding to me, they weren't answering my question. Like it was really weird going back and forth. My friend was a godsend though. She basically explained the situation in like Mandarin. She typed it all out for me, sent it to me. I then sent it to the car company. When they responded, I then sent her the response and she would translate it for me. So basically I managed to book a car and I did pay extra so that they would take me directly to the airport rather than dropping me off at the drop-off point and then me finding my own way, like getting a taxi or whatever. I just wanted my journey to be as easy as I could make it for myself. Like I didn't want to make things too difficult, so I just paid a bit extra for that. So this was around 12 p.m. on I think it was a Monday, or it was Monday 12 p.m. and I booked my flight for Tuesday, I think it was 8 p.m. and the reason I booked it for the evening was because my car journey was 4 hours, so I wanted to factor in with if like the car was late, or if there was any traffic or any issues that would arrive, I would still have time to kind of sort out those issues and make my flight. So I didn't want to tell anyone that I was coming home, because by the messages that I was getting from my friends and people I knew and people that I hadn't even spoke to, in ages, I kind of could gauge how serious things were and how scared people were for me. And because I wasn't sure that I would actually make it home, not necessarily say that I thought I'd be sick, but I was like, just in case my flight gets cancelled or something happens, I didn't want a lot of people to be worrying about what was going on with me and like if I would be okay. Like, it's worrying enough knowing the situation, but imagine me just saying, oh yeah, now I'm stranded in a different city, I can't get home, yada yada yada. Like, it would be a lot. Initially I wasn't even going to tell my sisters, but I thought, no, let me just tell my family. Yeah, I didn't tell my friends in China. I told one of my friends. I didn't tell my flatmate, didn't tell like my other colleagues, didn't tell my employees. I didn't tell anyone because I wasn't 100% sure. I was just like, once I get home, then I will let people know that I'm no longer in China. I spent ages as well because most of my money was basically on my Chinese card. Only certain sites accept that card because it's not like a debit card, it's not like a Visa. So it took me like a few hours to actually book my flight and like pay for it and stuff. So I booked it and got everything, and then it was time to kind of pack and tidy my room. And at this point I think it was about 4 or 5 p.m. Obviously, like, I had lunch, dinner, that sort of thing, but I didn't even eat that much because I was just so frantic and so anxious about the whole situation. Because 24 hours prior to that, or let's say 4 or 5 days prior to me packing and stuff, I didn't even know this virus existed. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Next thing you know, I'm just packing to just leave the country without telling anyone. Like, I was just going. So it was like a really anxious, scary situation for me. So I packed, but I didn't want to overpack. I didn't want to have to pay a lot of money in case like my luggage was too heavy, like an over, or I didn't want to have to like try and get rid of stuff or like repack in the airport, that sort of thing. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna pack the necessities, and just everything else, I'm coming back. Well, that's what I thought. I thought I would go back and just carry on. Like, I thought everything would kind of just blow over in like a month or two and I would be back and things would be okay. So I wasn't too worried about all my stuff. So yeah, I just packed the necessities and tidied my room. Then it got to about, once that was done, I got to about 9-10 p.m. My car was coming for me. I think it was coming around 8. So I went to bed and then I got up in the morning, got in the shower. I got out of the shower and my phone was ringing. So I answered my phone and it was the car company, and they basically said how they were outside. So they basically got to mine about an hour, 45 minutes early. So I literally had to just whack on my clothes. I double checked like I had all my documents, my passport, everything. I didn't even have time to like double check my luggage and see that I had everything I needed. I can't even remember the state that I left my room in. Like, I can't remember anything. I literally just rushed out. I can't remember if I turned off my lights, can't remember if I turned my Wi-Fi off, if I tidied, like if I took out my garbage before I left, like if my fridge was completely empty. I literally can't remember anything. I can't remember if I left my room in a decent state, because obviously after packing your room gets a bit messy. Can't remember if I turned off my water. Like, there was just those kind of things that I was thinking about, and I was planning on like just topping up my electricity before I left, just to make sure that the fridge continues to run, and like the fridge and the freezer. I didn't want it to be a situation where if I come back or my flatmate comes back, like the freezer hasn't been running, so like all the ice and stuff melts and it starts leaking, and then like the food goes all bad. Like, I didn't want that sort of situation, but I didn't even get time to do that because everything was so last minute. So I got into the car, they drove me to where the coach was, and then got into the coach, and I basically paid extra so that they would drop me off right to the airport rather than at like the pickup spot. So yeah, it was a 4-hour drive. There was only like 5-6 other people in the car, and when I say it was a ghost town, like driving through one city into another, and I probably saw like 5 people outside. Like, it was a ghost town. And like, if you saw especially like Chengdu, the bigger city, like it's always busy, there's always people, there's noise, there's music, there's so much traffic, that sort of thing. There was nothing, literally nothing. I think I saw like 2 people walking their dogs, and that was it. Like, it completely freaked me out. That's when I was like, okay, this is serious, because there's nothing. Like, drove me to the airport. I got there I think around noon, or just afternoon, maybe 1. Like I said, my flight was about 8, so I had like 7 hours of doing nothing, and 7 hours of me anxiously waiting to see if I could get on my flight, like to see if there was still a flight for me to get on. The airport was so empty, like there was literally no one there. Like, it was so empty, and obviously that's not something we're used to seeing. Like, airports are always so busy, but it was so empty. It kind of freaked me out a bit, but I must admit, like, the whole checking in, security, immigration, customs, all of that, going through all of that was such a breeze. Was probably one of the easiest and the most chilled parts of my journey. Like, I think it took me about 10-15 minutes to get through the whole thing, and then I went on the other side, I went to Starbucks, just waited there for my flight. And then obviously the whole time I was wearing a mask. Like, when I was in the car for 4 hours, I had a mask on. And when I got to the airport, I switched, like, wore a new mask for those 7 hours. Then before I got my flight, for another like 7 hours, a new mask. So I was literally wearing a mask like the whole day. I was just so tired, so out of it. I just wanted to be home. Got on my flight. We had to wear a mask like the whole flight. You just had to. I thought there would be some sort of health check, some sort of, at least take my temperature, but there was nothing of the sort. Like, there was a questionnaire, like they gave me a questionnaire, and I just had to tick whether I was experiencing some symptoms, and then just hand that in before I got on my flight. But that was pretty much it. And then, so yeah, I got on my flight, was on there for 7 hours. Then we got to Abu Dhabi. There I was thinking, okay, these people are definitely gonna have like a health check, but again, there was nothing. This time there wasn't even a questionnaire. Well, I think, no, there was a questionnaire, but at no point did they ask for it back, so I didn't even give it to anyone. Like, I just had it. Had that flight again, another 7 hours. Then I got to the UK. There wasn't even a question. There was literally nothing. It felt like I was just coming home from a normal holiday. Like, there was nothing. So yeah, got home, like got to the UK, and then I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I got my luggage, I took off the little tag that said like that I came from China, because I was like, not being funny, but no one is gonna come near me if they know that I've come from China, because everyone's hearing about this virus and stuff, and I didn't really know what to expect. I'm not gonna lie, even though I'd only been there for like 4 months, it felt like a really weird culture shock. Like, everything just seemed so surreal and so odd. Got on the tube, and then I got an Uber from the station back to mine. And not gonna lie, when Uncle came and picked me up, like the Uber driver, I was not trying to tell him, like, you know when they always make conversation like, oh, you went on holiday, like, where have you been? I was not trying to tell him where I went, because I knew like he would kick me out of Uber ASAP. So I was like, I'm not saying anything. So from when I got to the airport all the way to when I got home, the only people I'd spoken to was my mum and my dad. And when I got home, I realised I had so many messages from so many different people, and I think it freaked my friends out more because I wouldn't have responded to messages. But yeah, I kind of just told everyone, yeah, I'm back now. And it was so weird, but it was really, really sweet that people I hadn't spoken to in like a good 5-6 years were messaging me, asking me if I was okay and stuff, which was really nice to know that people were concerned. It was just so surreal to me. I was just like, literally 2 days ago, I was in China just minding my own business. Like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I was in China minding my own business, not even knowing this virus existed, and then next thing you know, I'm fleeing the country, I'm back home. Like, it was so unplanned. And then obviously I told my employer like that I went home because of the virus, and I'm like, we understand, like, it's fine, stay safe, and like hopefully like everything will calm down in a month or 2 and you can come back. And I thought I was gonna go back in like March. Like, I literally thought I'd be back in March. I even woke up, like some days I would just wake up and be like, I can't believe like this is real, like I can't believe this is happening. It was just a really, really hectic, nerve-wracking, anxious experience, because I was just like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it home. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, one minute I'm in my own apartment, like I have a really cool job, like I'm on the other side of the world living alone. Like I go to the gym, have a personal trainer, make new friends, like I'm going out and having fun, having a good time. I had all these plans of all these things I was going to do, all these skills I was going to learn. And then literally, like next thing you know, I'm back home, not really sure what's going on with my job, when I'll be back, like all of this. Like so anxious because of this virus thing. And like when I got home, even though I knew I wasn't sick, I was just scared that I was, and that I would put people in harm's way. So obviously I called 111, and they basically said to me that you ain't got symptoms, so just go about your life, like you're fine, don't worry. But I decided to self-quarantine for 2 weeks anyways, because I was like, I don't want to meet up with my friends and then make them sick. Like, I don't want to be the person that brings corona to the UK. That is basically what happened in a nutshell. I feel like I skimmed over things because honestly it was kind of traumatic, and I feel like I've just repressed some of the memories of that journey because it was mad. Like, I was looking a hot mess on that whole journey. Like, it was basically, I think it was I would say from door to door it was about 36 minimum to 40 hours journey from when I left to when I got home. It's just mad. And I kept on just like, while I was home I was just kind of thinking, yeah, I'll be going back soon, but like 6 months later and I'm still home, and I would have been finishing my contract in like a few weeks time, but Corona had other ideas, like life, God had other ideas for me, so that's just not the way things worked out. But obviously it's nice that I get to see like my family. But at the time I thought, okay, I'm home, I can see my family, can see my friends, but then obviously Corona happened here, we were on lockdown, so I didn't get to see anyone at all. So yeah. Oh yeah, when I called, so when I was in China, the first thing I did before like booking my flights or anything, I was like, let me contact like the British embassy or the consulate, maybe they can tell me what to do, or maybe they can help me like get a flight or get out of here safely, because I don't know if I'll be able to get out here on my own. So I sent them an email explaining who I was, explaining the situation, saying how I'm trying to get home, like I'm here alone, yada yada yada, and they basically said, there's nothing we can do for you, stay at home and stay safe. And that was basically it. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'm doing this on my own, figuring this out on my own. But thank God I had my friends to help me. Like, honestly, if it weren't for Annie, I probably still would have been in China. And literally the day that I got home, I messaged my friend who lives in the same city as me, and she literally said that my city went into lockdown on that day. So I basically left on Tuesday, I think. So let's just say I left on a Tuesday. So say I left on Tuesday, my city went into lockdown on Wednesday. So if I had waited a day, or like doubted it or hesitated or just wanted to think about it for one more day, I literally would have been stuck. Like, I would have been stuck in China. But yeah, I'm so glad that I'm home and I'm safe. I'm so glad that my friends are safe. I'm hoping, praying that my students are safe. I miss them so much. But yeah, it was a stressful journey. Still have no words. Sometimes I still, even 6 months down the line, I still cannot believe it. I still cannot believe that I only got to do half of my year, that I had to literally flee the country without telling anyone, that half my belongings are still stuck in my apartment in China. But it just really showed me that you can make plans, but really and truly only God knows what's in store. Like, only God knows what's around the corner, because here I was making so many plans. I would have never imagined that this would have happened. But yeah, so that is my story. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that was interesting. If you have any more questions or any videos that you want me to do, just let me know. Comment or send me a DM on Instagram. And yeah, please remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and hope everyone is safe. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.